Hey everybody, this is Eric.
And I'm Daryl.
Welcome to the Automotive Podcast that's broadcasting from the Batcave.
On this episode of Throwing Wrenches,
We're in Washington, Illinois, in John Bisanz' man cave.
and we will find out when a man cave becomes a bat cave.
All that and more in this episode of Throwing Wrenches. All right. Everybody, thanks for listening. And as I always say on every episode, and sometimes it resonates and we get some messages from fans, send us an email to info@thrownwrenches.com or post a review on iTunes or Spotify. And I think there's actually even a poll right now. And if you do that, I'll read it and I'll make fun of you or I'll celebrate it and you'll be heard all around the world.
You know, we did actually get some feedback from a listener. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It was about the Flintstones mobile?
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Well, he sent I think that was Todd. I feel terrible. Now you put me on the spot. He sent me a big, long email, and I read it at work, which I should never do.
Why?
Because then I'm busy, and then I don't respond to it. And then he listened to the episode.
Just say you're answering fan mail. The
Right.
boss will let you. He'll
Right.
be fine
Yeah,
with
right.
that.
Yeah, right. And then he sends a second email about the Flintstones mobile. I'm like, oh, man, I feel like a complete butthead because I didn't respond to this guy, right?
I did. It's all good.
The first time.
Oh, there was another one?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't read that one. All right. Did you bid
Anyway.
on the Flintstones mobile?
Would I?
Yeah, would you?
I don't know. If it's real foot power, I can't imagine that's something I want to drive.
It's very green.
Especially when it's negative 10 degrees.
Well, thankfully it's not that here in central Illinois. I mean, in the Batcave.
Imagine sliding down my driveway with a giant boulder wheel.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. That would be terrible.
All right. So I'm not going to go through any of that stuff right now, but I do want to tell you about Daryl Scott. Do you know Daryl Scott?
Oh, boy.
They do. I think some of them do, but I'm going to tell you about him. I mock him for his collection of cars because I think he's the only one with a problem. Then I do a remote show with someone who also has a lot of cars, and I think more shows like this might let his wife know that this is perfectly normal and acceptable behavior. That's Daryl Scott.
It is. Thank you. Well, and for those who don't know, my co-host, Eric Stahl, well, when the mercury drops, the snow flies, and the timid stay indoors, our intrepid superhero dons his cape, Columbia insulated jacket. He hops into the Stahlmobile, his Toyota 4Runner, and he makes a beeline to grab lunch. He's the hero we deserve. He's Eric Stahl.
I thank you so much. Today it was McDonald's for the $5 special.
Did you?
I donned my cape and jumped on my 4Runner and ran
I thought you
across.
swore that off.
You're weak. Your powers are weak. All right. Our special guest, John Bisanz. He doesn't even know what we're doing here. We're totally
throwing him curveballs.
Just hanging.
I have no idea what's going on.
DC created Lucius Fox in 1979 to help Bruce Wayne with all those wonderful toys. But John Bisanz is, as Bob Kane wrote the original, Caped Crusader. John built his Batmobile with tenacity in his own brains. That's canon. That's the Batmobile Washington deserves.
There you go.
And the
I
Batman
like that.
Washington deserves.
Fantastic. It's our studio audience applauding. John, thank you for letting us into your Batcave, your home, your life. As Eric mentioned in the pre-show tonight, which if you're a Patreon member, you can hear, you were one of the quickest yeses to confirm as a guest. And
Was I?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to commend you for that.
I think so. Like I said, normally we run into somebody on the street and like, hey, cool car. You want to do a show? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, Daryl, this guy, I read his article in Peoria Magazine. Sounds like he has some cars. I'm going to reach out to him. Daryl's like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Do we know him? No. Does he know us? No. All right. See where it goes.
Yeah, what the heck? Let's do it. Let's go.
Well, what else are you going to do in the middle? As we sit down to record this, episode 97, it is mid-late January in Illinois. Mm-hmm. We just had some bitter cold, below zero last week. It's just kind of like, this is the doldrums, right? This is as low as it gets in the middle of winter. So to actually have like a little bit of an oasis in here, a nice warm shop, talk cars, talk pop culture, this is awesome.
So John has a Facebook page called Central Illinois Batman.
Yes.
And I've been following you for, I think, at least a year.
Cool.
I don't know how long you've had that page, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I'm following this guy. And you post some stuff. You were at the Batman Museum a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, well, this. And then, like I said, I read the article, and I'm like, all right, this is all hitting the wheelhouse. But as Daryl and I know, we've done many shows over the years, and some car guys are like, yeah, man, let's talk about cars. Other guys are like, it's my collection. I don't want you anywhere near it. So I had no idea.
And then they pepper spray us, and then we run away and wait for the restraining order.
Yeah, right. I don't want you casing my stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, so we really appreciate you letting us in. So then we get the invite to the house, and the house it's the dream garage. It's like... It
works.
Yeah, no, man.
Could be a lot worse.
Every guy who listens to this show, and there's a lot of guys who listen to the show, have dreamed of this setup. Walk through the side door of the house, and there's 6 cars. Look upstairs, there's the bedroom. Look over to the right, there's the kitchen. Yep. But it all just has a garage, just like built right to the kitchen. It's
Isn't
wonderful.
It great?
It's.
How did you find this place? Because you said, we were talking earlier, you didn't actually like build it, from the ground up, right? You just kind of happened to come up for sale or something?
Yeah, it was up for sale, I don't know how many years ago. Yeah, and I bought it. It was just a shell when I bought it. It was a bit rough. A contractor owned it. And so I came in here and cleaned it up and painted it, and I've collected gas and oil stuff forever and started hanging stuff and decorating.
But it couldn't have been comfortable. I mean, you're moving into a garage.
Yep.
Did it have heaters? And
yeah.
Oh, so okay, so you weren't like freezing your butt off or anything the first year you lived here or anything like that.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, no, I set the thermostat at, I don't know what's that right now, 66. It keeps it at 66 all winter long.
And so those air conditioners I see on that side window, is that how you air condition it in the summer, or do you have more?
On the side window,
those tubes,
like mini splits or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're called a cool cube.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's 2 cool cubes that I bought. I may use those 3 or 4 days out of the whole year.
Really?
Yeah, it stays cool in here. So a lot of times what I'll do is at night I'll open up all the windows and stuff, and then I'll capture that cold air, and then in the morning when I get up I'll close everything up and capture it, and it stays cool in here.
I mean, you just have the concrete. Think about that. If you were living on concrete in the summertime, it would be pretty nice.
It's not bad in here at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I may use those, like I said, 3 or 4 days of the whole year if I have to. But for the most part, I mean, there's been years I don't use them at all because it stays cool in here.
Yeah, you could rent this out as an Airbnb and get like premium dollars. Right?
I like that idea.
There you go.
But that means I have to live somewhere else. I don't like that idea.
Or maybe here's what you do. You make a mini barn and put one of the cars in there with the bedroom and everything.
Yeah.
Of course, who knows what they're doing to your car when they're sleeping.
Yeah, that'd be the only variable.
Right.
But then I have to live somewhere else. Where would I live at?
Yeah.
I'm so used to this.
Okay.
It doesn't get any better than this. So
you could get a Walter White RV and put it outside.
There you go. I like that idea. I like that idea.
The city might have a little something to say about that. Just saying. Now, this is fantastic space, and we will get into the breadth and depth of your collection behind you. Yep. Again, this is a podcast, so we really can't describe this. It is cooler than I can ever describe.
Thank you.
But
I took a few pictures, which I always say I'm going to do, but I actually took pictures this time, so we'll share some of that with you guys.
Yeah.
So one of the things we always start our shows off with is projects, and not a whole lot to report because it was negative.
I was like
17
or
something.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
It was so cold that this morning when I went outside and it was 12 degrees, I wasn't wearing gloves, and I'm like, oh, I'll just, I drove to work without gloves on.
It felt great.
Yeah, at 12. Because 2 days previous, it was 30 degrees colder than that, right? So
at the grocery store, there was a guy wandering around with shorts the other day, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Our football coach here in Washington, Daryl Crouch, he wore shorts. It didn't matter what temperature or anything.
Don't care.
He was always in shorts. When I was younger, I did that too, but then as you get older, it's it's like, okay, those days are behind me.
Yeah, no, exactly. The one thing the state of Illinois has made sure that I get to spend lots of money on my cars this year is because all my registrations are due in February every year.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You timed it out that
way? Is that just me? Or every year? I got to do like 4 cars. It just, I'm popping $500 every... Oh, it's more than that, isn't it?
I don't even know.
It's $180 a car? Is that what I'm paying?
Something like that.
I forget what it is now, yeah.
I've got one. Actually, reminded me, I think the Tundra's due at the end of January, which is like now. So I probably should get
I mean, I usually ride them out for a month or two after, but
you're not out in the garage working on stuff right now? It's not...
Well, we talked about this. We went out to dinner a while back, and I said, I want to start working on the garage. Of course, this was guy talk, and then we talked about it in front of my wife. My wife looks at me and goes, you're going to work on the garage? And I'm like, yeah, it's time. We've been in our house 12 years.
Yeah.
It's still got like raw drywall with like stucco all over the nail holes and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's time to clean this up and paint it. And
Yeah.
And now that I'm
You
looking
getting some
around
inspiration?
Yeah.
Looking around tonight, he's like, I'm getting all the inspiration.
I'm going to do fancier cabinets. You know? No, but that's basically what I want to do in the spring. And I do have a propane heater, portable one. I could set up out there and close the doors. You know, maybe if February tunes it up a little bit with the weather, maybe it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I mean, realistically, you just want to like prime and paint and make it look nice, right?
Just got to sand and then paint. Yeah, trim it out. I think it'd be nice. You know, and that's one of those things. It's like you don't have to do it, but you know that once you do, you'll feel so much more satisfied with just walking out in your garage and then
Knowing you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I ever want to sell the house, it's one of those things like it was okay for me, but the next guy would be like, "How come he lived in this garage? It was unfinished for the last 20 years, right?"
Yeah, there's a lot of spots in my house that I'm like, I can never sell it until I fix this because it's just not acceptable. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I don't have anything going on, man. It's sad.
No, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I ordered a bunch of. Here's what I do in the winter. I start ordering parts for spring and summer, or for get my projects lined up.
Yeah.
But then occasionally I'll take a detour on eBay and I'll just start. I'll look for other antiquities to spend my money on. And I've been on a weird kick lately with buying old bumper stickers.
Oh. Really?
I don't know why.
Do they smell bad?
No, no. That's like old Band-Aids. No, but I usually throw bumper stickers on like my fridge in the garage or stuff in the wall. Sometimes I'll put them on an old car, but not a whole lot.
Where are you finding old bumper stickers at?
Honestly,
Antique
mostly
stores and
eBay.
stuff? Well, eBay. Okay,
eBay
okay.
or sometimes antique stores.
Okay.
I've got a couple like I Like Ike pins and
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff that
I'd rather be driving my Edsel.
exactly stuff like that.
Go Ike.
But I found one the other day. I'm like, Smokey the Bear. I'm like, I wonder if there's any old vintage Smokey the Bear kind of environmentally type stuff. Because I bought when we got the Fury 70 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible. I bought a bumper sticker that says "Give a hoot, don't pollute," and I put it on the tail panel right next to the exhaust pipe.
Okay.
Because the car smokes a little bit, and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It was like ironically 70s kind of like. I'm like, I'll continue that theme.
Yeah.
So I found
Indian?
What's that?
Crying Indian?
No. I found a Smokey the Bear one. It says, use your ashtray. And it's just at Smokey's head, and it's, he's kind of like yelling at the smokers, like, don't. And I bought that, and it arrived like the next day. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I went back on eBay. I'm like, I wonder what other stuff, like 50s bumper stickers, Illinois politicians. And I've got like an Adlai Stevenson one. It's like what's the guy's name? Something Stratton. William Stratton, the former governor, running for re-election in the 50s.
How about a Blago? Got a Blago for your Volvo?
No. Sadly, I think those are probably collector's items. So I bought some of that, and if nothing else, it'll get me through probably the rest of this month. But I need to stop buying stuff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Somebody should close my eBay account.
Well, good thing your wife listens to the show.
Yeah, I'll hear about it.
So do you
probably lock it up.
do you display those somehow?
Sometimes.
How do you display them?
Sometimes, like I've got a 55 Plymouth, and I wound up, for some reason, I'm like, this is going to be just for like 50s vacation themes.
Yeah.
So I've got like on the back window and on the side windows, I've got old Florida tourist attractions like Weeki Wachee and I can't even remember. Jungle Gardens was got flamingos, but it's like pink 50s stuff.
Okay.
So it kind of matches the car.
Cool.
And so I was going to try to do that with the Cadillac, the 55 Cadillac. I was going to make this be like a political statement. But realistically, here's the other reason I do it. It's to either cover up peeling paint, cover up bad chrome that I don't want to chrome the bumpers. So on the Fury, it's going to cover some of the stuff on the that lower panel that probably needs to be painted, but I'm like, I'll just put a bumper sticker on there for now. So
Okay. Well, it's cheaper than going to Mako.
That's true. That's true. But eventually, I will have to do that. So that's my project maybe for next summer. But
So a lot of people are probably interested in the Cadillac. Anything else done? Can you start it and run it, or is that done for the year?
It does start. I haven't put it in drive and gone through the gears yet and all that. I just basically got the thing running after a 30, I don't know, however many year nap. I did finish ordering brake pieces, so I have pretty much all the brake parts needed to make that stop now. So it should hit the roads here in the spring at some point if it's warm enough. So,
Cool.
Yeah, 55 Fleetwood. That's been the bane of my existence, but also I'm kind of like really anxious to get that back on the road. So,
That'd be fun.
yeah, it's going to be a fun car.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So I'm looking at many project cars out here. I know we're going in cold here, but you got to be working on something right now in the garage.
I'm working on something outside the garage.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Did you see the old fire truck outside?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on that.
Is it a Mack?
It's a 47 International KB8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huge truck. Huge
Yes.
rig.
Yeah, I'm stripping it down.
Okay. What's
want-
kind of the backstory on it? Yeah.
You want to know where that one's going?
Sure.
So I bought a 35-foot motorhome. It was in Princeton, I think it was.
Okay.
And
Just north of here?
yes, so that was on a farm, and it got real windy one day, and the motorhome fell over, and the body got knocked off of the frame. So I bought the frame for $1,500. So I'm going to take the KB8 fire truck and put that on the front of the motorhome frame.
Okay.
And then behind the fire truck, it's going to be either flat or enclosed. I'm not sure yet which way I'm going to go, but that's going to be my car hauler.
Oh, sweet. What frame, what chassis is the motorhome? Is it like a Ford or Chevy chassis or something?
It's a Ford.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got like a V10 or something, like the Triton?
No, surprisingly, it's only got a 460 in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got a 460 in it.
Like a little commercial chassis or something.
Yep.
That is going to be awesome.
So I always try and search for those cars in like marketplace car haulers.
Yeah.
They're not easy to find, especially classic ones. I mean, I don't know if they've all dissipated with rust or what.
No, there's a few out there. People build them. They don't go up for sale very often.
Would you have a hydraulic or something on the back of it, or how would you set that up?
Yeah, the back would need to be on hydraulics, so it could be lowered a little bit. But a buddy of mine in Pekin, he built a car hauler. I don't know if it's okay to say his name or not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Joe Thomas, he owns Pekin Alignment Auto Body.
Okay.
Probably everybody knows his
With
car hauler.
the teddy bear logo. That's Peak and Alignment right down
Yeah,
there.
right off
yeah,
49.
yeah. So he built a car hauler.
Oh,
And, you've seen that all over the place. In fact, it's at the museum right now in downtown Peoria. They got like a little
Oh,
display
yeah,
down
I
there.
forgot about that.
Like a custom exhibit?
We
Yeah.
should probably figure out how to do something with that, too.
Yeah, Peoria
Yeah.
Riverfront Museum. You can look that up. If anybody is in Central Illinois listening, check that out because it's like the month of February and March, maybe? Or just
Yeah,
February?
I don't think his car hauler is down there, but this pickup truck that he built is, and there's some other vehicles down there.
That's that extended cab that's like really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing's cool.
Yeah, they
Old
call
Chevy.
that the unicorn, I think they call it. But
Built. It's
Yeah. It's
American car culture.
yeah,
So it celebrates too. I think somebody said that like the originals, like Super Nationals or Winter Nationals or something for
Yeah.
like the Street Rod Association was here in Peoria in the '60s. I think. Right?
Okay.
So I think that's kind of like returning to the roots of like hot rodders and custom car builders. So
Sure, yeah. But I had Joe over here, and he looked at the frame for the motorhome, and he looked at my KB8, and he said, "Oh, it's going to make a great car hauler." So,
Dude.
it's a monster. It sits up real tall, and I was trying to figure out because the front's off of it, right? The front clip, kind of. Or
yes, I've taken everything off the front.
So I was trying to figure out like what is it? It looked like a Mack Model B or something, but that real tall roof line, that cab, makes sense. These Internationals were always cool because even like the regular farm trucks, they're real tall cabs, so you can have like a hat on, like a 10-gallon hat, and still fit in the thing.
Yeah, well, it's got a great nose. The whole nose sticks out. I don't know what it is, 4 foot or something like that, away from the cab. It's got a beautiful nose. These big fenders, and these big headlights that are on top of the fenders. It's a beautiful truck. And so it'll be fun. I got it out of Galva, believe it or not.
No kidding.
It was, on the side it says Galva Fire Department or something. But
kind of like patinaed letters and stuff.
That's all
cool.
faded and kind of cool and rusty, and just the way I like it.
Yeah. Are you going to kind of keep that patina look to it, you think? Or
no, to be honest, I want to get it done, and I want to paint it the same color as the Batmobile. I want to paint it black with some red stripes to match the Batmobile.
Oh, man, how cool.
That's my goal. So hopefully I can. I kind of know what I'm doing now. I mean, I've been kind of doing this long enough. I think I know how to do it, but I've never done a car hauler. But I want the car hauler to match the Batmobile. I think that would look really cool going down the road.
Awesome. That is really, really. I wish you luck. I'm excited to see how that goes. Cause
Me too.
That's going to be a fun.
I'm assuming it's going to go faster than the Batmobile project.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, because like I said, now I know what I'm doing. And there's not a whole lot to a car hauler. I mean, the Batmobile, there's so much going on. I mean, all the wiring and the doodads and everything. There's a lot to it. But a car hauler, there really isn't much to it. You've got a frame and a flatbed behind the cab, and
just buy one of those pre-made aluminum like car hauler beds. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, probably. I may do. I'm thinking about doing something in clothes because I'm getting calls from all over the place of people that want to see the Batmobile. And I got a call from Indianapolis, Indiana. Probably I think it was last year. They wanted to pay me. I think it was $3,000 to go there for 1 day.
Oh wow!
To show the car. They wanted the car that bad. And it's like, well, I got no way to get it there. I can rent an open trailer and get it there, but I don't know what the weather's going to be like.
Yeah.
So that's always such a gamble,
Yeah,
especially
so I
when
had
you
to
have
turn it
something unique like that. And it's open canopy car.
It's basically a convertible. Yeah. So there's just no way. And I said, well, I can't do that right now. So I may enclose it. That way I can take it to other places. Because I'm getting calls from all over the place. Metropolis, they had some big event down there last year. They wanted it down there. It's like, it's a 5-hour drive down there.
I was going to say it might have to take $5,000.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So I may enclose it so I can take the Batmobile, further out than just, I don't mind driving it to Peoria. I live in Washington, so I don't mind driving it to Peoria. But anything
like Tri-County
further out than that, I really hate to drive it. And I'm getting calls from all over the place.
I'll bet.
I just can't get it there. So.
Well, that's going to be a cool project, the car hauler. But then, is this a good time to kind of segue into the main event here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, following the page, I didn't realize you're such a gearhead, so this all works out perfectly. Mm-hmm. But this car's got some history, and you've been working on. We talked about in the pre-show. You've been working on this thing a long time.
About 10 years, yeah.
I feel like maybe it's longer than that. Maybe you lost track.
It has been longer than that.
I lost the receipts for all my cars.
I hate to say it, but it has been longer than that. I mean, I can go on YouTube. I can go anywhere. I can talk to people about how to restore a '68 Mustang or something. But I mean, who do you talk to about building a Batmobile? Those videos aren't out there on YouTube, and I can't go to O'Reilly's and say, "Well, I need parts for a Batmobile." They're going to look at me real weird.
But
so
in your past, have you restored
build.
cars and decided you needed a bigger challenge than
I've tinkered, but nothing like this. No.
Let's hear the origin story of John Bisanz, though. Like, as far as like growing up at Gearhead, were you always into cars? Particular like movie cars, famous car stuff, or just cars in general?
Just cars in general. The whole Batmobile came about from me growing up in the '70s and coming home from school, and it's like, oh, Batman's on. I got to watch Batman. I always got excited when I saw the car, and that's where it kind of started. I just liked watching the whole Batman series and whatnot, as corny as it was.
Sure.
So that's where it kind of came from.
Were you a comic book kid too, or not really?
Not really. More of a car person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your first car, when you were like, what was your first car that was like a toy car? Like
a toy?
A toy, not like your daily driver. What was a car you bought? It was just kind of like, this is my fun car. It's be my project car. Did you have something that you kind of started your car hobby with?
Not really. My first car was a '68 Satellite when I was in the Navy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And the funny thing was, the back end. You know how these trucks, how they squat the back now, right? Well, that was my '68 Satellite, and it was because the frame was so rusted out.
Oh, jeez.
That the mount. Okay, so it had leaf springs, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the rear mounts had rusted out so badly that the frame. If you open up the trunk, you had to push down on the frame and slide it over.
My brother had an AMC.
So
Ouch!
My brother
That's how
had an
bad
AMC
that was.
That did that. He'd drive around turn, and the whole AMC like slid off the back, and the wheel well was rubbing on the tires.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like push it. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It's rough living in the Midwest. We salt everything.
Yeah.
We salt the roads, and especially those cars back in the day probably just did not.
No,
they didn't last.
Yeah.
Well,
so you get the panels for the Batmobile first. Is that right?
The panels?
Yeah, you got the fiberglass panels, everything first before you got the car. Or did you pick up the car first when you started doing the restoration for the project?
Oh, the Batmobile?
Yeah.
Well, I had to buy the Lincoln first.
Okay.
Yeah, and I stripped the Lincoln down, took the body off the frame down to the drivetrain, and then
and it's a 77.
Be a 77. I found the Lincoln in Arcola. It only had to build an exact replica Batmobile. The car's preferred to be your donor car was a 77 through 79 Lincoln. And so I found a Lincoln in Arcola that had I forgot, it was like 14 or 15,000 miles on it. So it was a great donor car. So I bought that car and had a buddy run down there and pick it up and then brought it home. And that's where it all kind of started. Then we stripped down that, and then the body was put on top of that, and then it was built from there. It took about 10 years to do.
So you pull the fenders off, pull the doors off. I mean, you're gutting this thing all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
All the way down literally to just the unibody. Or is there even a unibody on a car like that?
Full frame.
Full frame, yeah.
Okay.
Car,
Yeah. If they go to my my Facebook page and scroll down a little bit, there's a video of. Thankfully, I took a lot of pictures, and there's a great video of the whole build. And they'll see the Lincoln, and they'll see me stripping it down, and the doors laying on the driveway, and so they'll see all that. But I'm really happy I took a lot of pictures when I built that car.
So 77 Lincoln, you said, kind of fits the mold of what the 1966 George Barris Batmobile, like it fills the wheel wells, it's the perfect wheelbase, it's the right width.
Yep.
So originally that car, we talked a little bit on the pre-show about it, but originally the car we know as the Batmobile started life in a completely different place, right?
Right. It started off as a concept car by Ford. It was called a Lincoln Futura, and so that was the car that George Barris bought from Ford for $1, and then he turned that car into the Batmobile.
So the one we saw on the screen, that was kind of a retired show car, but then that also spawned. I guess they probably had to use several different replicas of it for different shoots, different camera mounts, probably. They made multiple versions of that, though, right?
Yeah, so somebody came to George Barris and said, hey, we need a car for this show that's coming up called Batman. And so George already had the Lincoln Futura. It was sitting behind his shop for a long time. And so when they came to him and said, hey, we need you to come up with something kind of cool for this TV show that's coming up, he said, oh, I got this Lincoln Futura that's sitting behind the building. So he turned that into the Batmobile. Well, then it kind of took off right away. And I think I don't remember why, but they needed he needed other cars. I think it was like a promotional deal because they call it the number 4 car. That was the drag car. And that ran all over the country at drag strips. That was like
promotional kind of thing?
Promotional kind of deal. And then there was the number 2 car that he built and the number 3 car. And I think those maybe were like stunt cars for the show or something like that. I forgot how it worked out, but
gotcha.
George had the original number 1 car. That was the metal car. That was the Lincoln Futura that he turned into the Batmobile, and then he made 3 replicas after that for different reasons.
Gotcha.
So it never clicked in my head until just now. So you're saying that the Batman comic probably never even reflected that car until after the TV show. Probably they made that car.
Yeah, probably that's the way to look at it.
Yeah. I'll bet if you were to go back, there may be a Batmobile, but it probably doesn't look anything like
from like the 50s.
No, not
or
at all.
something.
Yeah. No.
Huh.
Yeah, if you go way back, they used I forget, it was like some big gangster looking car,
like a Duesenberg or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. If you go way back, you'll see that. But right.
Interesting. Huh. So this obviously is a kind of a pop culture icon.
Yeah.
It's a comic book comic character icon.
Yeah.
But it's also a car icon. So you have all 3 of those things working together. This car definitely draws people from all walks of life, from all different ages.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's the most famous car in the world.
Yeah.
It really is.
You this is one thing, like you grew up and you're like, yeah, someday I'm going to build one of these things.
Well, I saw it as a kid when I watched the TV show, and then that's where the seed kind of got planted. And then when I was in the Navy, I was in boot camp, and there was an auction somewhere that I remember going to, and they were auctioning off some cars. Well, the Batmobile was one of the cars that were being auctioned off, and I think this was probably in the very early 80s. And so we had graduated boot camp, and some friends of mine decided, it's like, oh, let's go to this auction. So we went down there. And
is it California?
No, it was down in Chicago somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to go because I wanted to see the Batmobile in person, And so we drove down there and we saw the auction, and I was all excited because this is the first time I'd seen the Batmobile in 3D, right? So I got to see it. I took a few pictures, and so then as time went by, I started collecting a few cars and started tinkering here and there. And I was on the internet one day, and for some reason, Batmobile came across my screen. I went, oh, that'd be fun to have one of those, right? So then I started doing more research and come to find out that they were just way too expensive for my pocketbook. And I thought, well, what if I, I could probably piece one together over time.
Yeah.
A few $100 here and there, and maybe I could put one together over time. And that's the way I put mine together.
Were most of them turnkey? I mean, kind of like fully done, authentic-y kind of replicas, but they were lots and lots of money.
The ones that Barris did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, but at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of, you couldn't just, get the body and put the chassis on and build it as, like you said, kind of build it yourself in your garage in your own time.
No. Yeah, that whole thing, kind of took off in the mid-'90s.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, you could buy a kit, you could buy the body, you could buy the canopies, that kind of thing. They were kind of being sold as kit cars is when that whole thing started. That wasn't until about the mid-'90s is when that took off. And it only lasted for a few years until DC Comics stepped in and said, hey, you guys can't be doing this. And
Are there like hack job versions? Have you ever seen like a bad one?
Oh, I see a lot of bad ones.
Really?
Yeah. On my computer, I probably got, I don't even know how many pictures are on my computer. And when I built my car, I looked at the good ones, I looked at the bad ones. And it's like, okay, now I know what to do and what not to do.
Sure.
Yeah, and there's still some really bad ones out there.
So yours is actually, pretty authentic. Pretty authentic as far as how it looks, how it feels. We were talking a little earlier, like there's nothing in there that screams, oh, somebody built this and it's based on a Crown Victoria or a Fiero or something.
I know you talked about the wheelbase, but the overall length of the car, is this thing
about 22 feet?
Is it one for one a replica? Is it pretty much what the size of the car was in the TV show?
Yeah. During the 90s, people were, building bodies, and when Barris built the car for the TV shows, things were crooked. Like the hood scoop was crooked, the fender wells were crooked, and so all that stuff, kept getting tweaked. Mm-hmm. So there are some things that aren't exactly the way they were in the TV show, but they're better now. But yeah. So
if you had a cookbook, a recipe that says build your own Batmobile at home,
good luck with that.
What would it start with? It's probably not possible today, but
you can't do it today. No,
yeah.
No.
For legal reasons, mostly, you think? Or
yeah. Well, like I said, DC Comics stepped in probably in the late '90s and said, "You guys can't be doing this because Batman is our thing," and there was a builder in California that fought. That said, hey, no, I think your rights have expired. And so he fought DC Comics all the way up to the California Supreme Court.
Wow.
And this California Supreme Court sided with DC Comics and said, you're right, this can't keep going on. And so everybody got shut down. So this went on for a few years, and I was able to grab a body before everybody got shut down.
So it was all kind of in legal limbo.
Yeah.
And you were at that time able to acquire a body for it.
Yeah, and you can't acquire a body anymore.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a guy in Logansport, Indiana, building the cars, and so you can buy a completed car from him for $300,000. But you can't piece it together like I did.
Yeah.
So I know you do a lot of stuff for like charity and stuff like that,
yeah.
and just to have fun and show up for the kids. But if you were making money on this, like if you were getting paid, can DC come after you? I suppose you can go to like Comic-Con, stuff like that, and get paid. But
I talked to Mark about that a long time ago, and it's my understanding that if I started making money off of it, probably I don't think they're going to nickel and dime somebody. But if I started making some big money off it, I would probably have to.
As Central Illinois Batman,
give
just like selling swag all over. Yeah, they come after you.
Yeah, but it's my understanding as long as I'm, I can charge, like for my expenses. Mm-hmm. If I start making a profit, then it might become a problem. Yeah.
So back to the build. I know some hardcore folks are probably going to geek out about this, but the chassis on the car is essentially a 77 Lincoln.
I'm basically driving the 1977 Lincoln down the road, yes.
It's still all Ford, right? Is it a 460?
460, yeah. I kept the full drivetrain.
Okay.
The frame, the suspension, the rear axle, the engine, and then the body was put on top of that running drivetrain.
Which the benefit of that being, you can still,
I can drive it anywhere.
You can drive it anywhere.
Yeah.
And if something goes out, I need a water pump. It's not some weird expensive thing. It's like it's a big block Ford 460 water pump. You know?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But the heads look like they're custom. Did you change some stuff up?
No. When I built the car, I took the engine and transmission out so I could restore the frame and the running gear. And then I put the engine and transmission combo, I put that back in. And then I put some chrome doodads on it. There were some cool valve covers I found on eBay.
Okay.
And I painted those black, and I put that on there. There's a cool chrome air cleaner that I put on that I found one day.
It is cool, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot little doodads on there to make it look kind of unusual because it's a Batmobile. I wanted to make it look unusual. I didn't want someone looking at it and go, "Oh, that's a Ford 460."
Yeah.
So I put these cool valve covers on and some chrome doodads, and I mean, I think someone can still look at it and tell it's a 460, but I was trying to make it look a little unique.
We'll talk about the tech too, because that's the other part. I feel like the same thing with James Bond cars, or it's all the cool stuff in the cockpit that you don't really get to see until you're up close and personal with it.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about some of the doodads, if you will, that are in that car that kind of really make it special and authentic to the screen used cars.
Yeah. So I was trying to make it authentic, right? But there's some things I changed to my taste. Okay. So one of them was the center, the center gear shifter. Okay. Barris used what they call an Anton handle, which is basically just a T handle. Okay. And he had a center console, and the T handle stuck up. It was like, I don't know, it was really high for some reason. It was like 2 feet. It was like
60s muscle car or like hot rod kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it was just a T handle. But it was like I said, it was, I don't know, it was like 2 feet up away from the center console.
Almost like a rat fake sounding thing.
Yeah, kind of looked like that. And it's like, I don't like that.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was just too weird looking. And so what I did was I found a late 60s Camaro / Chevelle gear shifter that I liked that was period correct.
Okay.
And so I put that in there instead. So that's something I tweaked. So that's not accurate to the TV show, but it's what I liked. Well,
and like you said, you drive it, right? It'd be one thing if you were just loading it off and on a trailer. You're actually taking this thing, cruising around, and
exactly.
So.
Well, it's like the wheels. The wheels that were used in the TV show is called a radar wheel, RADIR, I think it's spelled. And and they look nice, but it's like, I'm not sure I like that. So I put on a wheel. It's an American racing wheel, which is a lot more Krager looking. Mm-hmm. Okay, because when I grew up in the 70s, 80s, everybody had Kragers. And it's like, I kind of like those wheels. And so I did not do the radar wheels. I did something that looked more like a Krager, just because that's what I like. So there's little tweaks on there that I did that are just to my taste. But for the most part, it's pretty movie accurate. The little tweaks I made, most people, unless they're me, they would never recognize it.
Well, nobody's going to scrutinize that like they're judging a what is that, the Bloomington Gold Corvette show where it's like it's 1,000 points deducted or that kind of stuff.
I've never had someone walk up to the car and go, "Is that's not original, is it?" No one's ever said that. They don't care.
So the mid pipes, that exhaust is coming up right out of the back of the trunk area there?
No, those are the rocket tubes.
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah, in the TV show, Batman and Robin would shoot rockets out of there to against the bad guy or something. But don't feel bad, because a lot of people think that is the exhaust. And no, that's not the exhaust. It's actually just rocket tubes.
Okay, now Daryl said he's seen the flame display.
Yeah, I might even have video of it on my phone, because last summer I think you were at a show.
Yep.
We were up kind of like a hot rod classic car show.
Probably, yeah.
And you rolled the thing. You had it on display, and then I think later in the afternoon after the judging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you roll up and do like a flamethrower demo?
Probably, yeah. I do it all the time.
So I got to ask, we've all seen the TV show, most of us have. What powers the flamethrower that's in your car?
In a nutshell, I used parts off of a gas grill. Okay.
I mean, we can keep it a trade secret, too.
No, it's fine. So behind the driver's seat is a propane tank. Okay. So picture your gas grill. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a propane tank, and you turn the gas on. You hit the little igniter. It goes tick, 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 right? And that lights that creates a spark, right? Mm-hmm. And then that creates the flame. So behind the driver's seat is a propane tank. So I'll turn the propane on. Now, I've got a safety switch underneath my dash. That way it doesn't go off by accident. So I'll hit the safety switch, and then there's a little igniter, and I hit the little igniter. Well, then behind the car, there's two probes that have I think it's an 1/8-inch gap between them. So when I hit my igniter, there's a spark in between those two probes that go tick, 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 tick. Well, as the gas is coming through the line going out the back of the car, when it hits that tick, 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 that's what lights the thing.
Gotcha.
And so in a propane tank, there's actually a lot of pressure in a propane tank. And so I've got the pressure turned up, pretty far. And there's a one-way valve in there too, so it doesn't go back into the cockpit or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a few little parts.
So you're just shooting like one stream of gas. That's how you're getting a little bit of flame to go out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's because
and again, I'm just using parts off a gas grill. Is all I'm doing for the most part.
Well, especially at that show, and probably all the other shows you go to, where it's like there's usually kids around, so you want to make sure it's cool but also safe and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids just absolute bananas.
Oh,
And
they
of course,
did.
the older guys, guys in their 70s, 80s, 90s,
Yeah.
sitting at the show, and they're just like, "Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
cool."
I've had quite a few people think that I'm using. Remember the old cars that they had a spark plug in the
yeah,
exhaust?
like
Yeah.
50s custom
Oh,
stuff.
the kids are still doing that stuff today.
They are, and people think that's what I'm doing. I got a little spark plug
Yeah.
in there. It's like, no, that's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just, like I said, using parts.
Well, yeah,
off the
because I
gas
wondered. I mean,
That's
honestly, I'm like, is this gas? Is this some kind of runoff from the fuel system?
Yeah, yeah,
Propane makes a lot more sense.
yeah. It's just a tank of propane behind the driver's seat is all it is.
That works though, because
it works. It'll shoot out about 3 foot. Yeah.
that was super cool. Super
Yeah.
cool. I think I have, like I said, if I find video on my phone, I'll put it
Yeah.
up with the post.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I remember all the guys in my car club were like, he's going to do the thing with the flamethrower.
Yeah.
We all came
Yeah.
up and started filming.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I've got there's on the parachutes. I've got 2 little flags that says "remove before flight," right? And so a lot of this has been kind of a learning experience. But one thing I learned was not to do that when it's windy, because one of those flags got burnt. the flame was like burning one of my flags. Like, oh, okay, I can't do that if it's windy now. So yeah, so I got to be careful.
So you've had this thing up and running and on the road for how many years now? Like complete.
Probably 2 now. Yeah.
Okay. So, and you've definitely made the rounds here in Central Illinois.
Yep.
You've had plenty interviews, stuff like that.
Yep.
Have you sensed that there's some traction now? Like you said, you've got calls from places that want to have your car displayed or
Yep.
probably want you to be part of a show.
Yep.
How do you juggle that with all the other commitments and time and stuff? Because you do have, looking around, you got other cars and interests here too.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I kind of pick and choose what I want to do. There was a Comic Con last year I went to that was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
I took it to there and had a great reception. I had a nice day. I get dressed up as Batman, and so I went to a hockey game here recently in Bloomington, dressed up as Batman on Batman night.
Nice.
They want the car there next year.
You drove out on the ice, didn't you? Did you drive on the ice on that or no?
Well, they drove me out on the ice in an SUV with Sam Lehman.
but not with the Batmobile. Okay.
No, they want me to do that next year. I'm not sure if I can do that because when Sam Lehman had me in a car and we drove out onto the ice, and it was a pretty tight fit.
Yeah.
And this car is I don't know
It's
if it
a
was
small
20
arena. Yeah.
Yeah, this car's almost 22 feet long, and to get through that little spot that we went through with the SUV, it's like I'm not sure I can make this.
Okay.
So I think next year if we do that, they want it there next year. So I think we'll put it out on the concourse or something, and
Like a static display or something.
Yeah, do that, and I think that'll be just fine. But they want it out there, but like I said, I just don't think I can make that turn to get it in there.
That's something else I would video if that did happen. I
Yeah.
would come out there because I would want to see it.
Oh yeah,
But-
yeah, it'd be fun to get it out there, but like I said, I just don't think it's
Or fun to videotape where they say, "We're sorry, the Batmobile is stuck and it's not going to come out on the ice. We're sorry, kids.
The game
We're
has
sorry."
been postponed until tomorrow night.
It's a Zamboni trying to pull you off.
John is refusing to pull it back through,
Yeah.
and there'll be no more
Everybody starts
hockey.
throwing hockey pucks at me.
Well, that probably is a good opportunity to dive into some of the other aspects of the Batman, the interest in the Batman, the charity work you do. I mean,
Yeah.
and Eric sent me some pre-reading. I had some homework, and I do remember reading. We've got, for folks outside Central Illinois, we've got a reporter, journalist, radio host,
The Luch.
Phil Luciano.
Yeah.
Oh,
who's
yeah.
kind of a local legend himself.
Oh, yeah.
But he did a really nice write-up and profile of you in Peoria magazines.
It was nice, yeah.
Was that this past year?
It's 2023, wasn't it?
I think that was 2 years ago, wasn't
was
it?
it?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
And it was just basically kind of explain kind of who you were, your background, what you're interested in. But for folks
Yeah.
who, and we'll put that link up as well with
Yeah,
this post.
yeah, it's a great article.
Fantastic.
Everybody should have an article written like that about him.
Yeah, I was tickled to death when you did that. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, you do, as Eric mentioned, you're involved in some charity and charitable aspects, and can you explain kind of that link between the Batman interest, the character, the car, and also some of the charity work you do?
So I've been a wish granter with Make-A-Wish probably for 10 years now. I do it when I can, maybe 1 or 2 kids a year or something. So I got one kid I'm getting ready to work on now here pretty soon. So we had a Make-A-Wish event last year, and I took the car there, and that was fun. And then when I got the car done, I talked to the whatever she's called, special events coordinator or something. Her name's Dee. I got a hold of Dee and I said, "Hey, I got this car done and I got this costume and everything." And she said, "Oh, let's have some fun." So once every, I need to get down there here pretty soon. I waited till after Christmas, but probably mid-February or something like that, I'll be back at the Children's Hospital dressed as Batman. I won't have the car because it's going to be too cold.
Yeah. There's not a good heater in the Batmobile?
No, there's no heater, and it's a convertible.
We'll get to the windshield in a minute.
Yeah. So, but last year, I forgot it was August or September or something like that, I took the car down there. And I was down there for, I don't know, 3, almost 4 hours.
Good afternoon.
With the car. Everybody wanted pictures. And I was dressed up. Everybody wanted pictures. And then, after we took a lot of pictures out in the parking lot, then I parked the car in the circular drive. Then I went in and, greeted, kids for another hour or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm blessed to have it. And I'm blessed in a lot of ways. And I just, it's like, why not share that, you know what I mean? So
it's got to be super impactful too, right? As especially for like you just said, you feel like you're in a good spot, but when you're able to share that and just see the joy, and also it's a nice distraction for some of those kids too that are going through some stuff at Children's Hospital and St. Jude affiliate here. The Make-A-Wish thing too, that's a whole other level of I can't imagine the joy / a little bit of pain that also probably puts on, but I applaud that. That's really admirable of you.
I've gotten a little hardened. When I first did it, it was pretty heartbreaking, So I've gotten a little hardened by doing it more often, because you see some of these kids, and there's some beautiful kids like in the Children's Hospital, and some of the rooms that these kids are in are no longer are no bigger than like a bedroom in a house, and they're there. Every day, 24 hours a day. And, you see that and you see these kids and you just, I was there in, I forget it was June or July or something like that last year. And it was a beautiful day. These kids should be outside playing with their friends. They should be playing basketball in the street, doing stuff like that.
Good
and
kid stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see this stuff and it tears you up. I mean, you get mentally beaten up a little bit when I get home, it's like, but it just, I don't know. Like you said, it puts a smile on people's faces, and that's why I want to do that. I want to have fun. I want to, like you said, give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah, take your mind off of.
Now, the real question is, when you're talking to a kid at a children's hospital, do you talk like Christian Bale or do you talk like Adam West?
There was. Hey,
get well.
It's funny. I usually use my normal voice, and there was one kid. He was pretty smart, and he walked up to me. He says, "You're not really Batman." And I said,
Santa Claus.
Yeah. I said, yes, I am. He says, "No, you're not." I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, then do the voice." And I looked at him and I went, "I'm Batman." And his eyes got really big, like, "Oh my gosh, this might really be him."
That's good.
And the other fun part was there was a kid in there that I've seen a couple times, and a beautiful child, just this little boy. I can't remember his name, but just a beautiful kid. He's been there, a couple times. I've been down there, and he'll walk up to me, and every time he sees me, he gives me this huge hug, right? And whenever he sees me, he says, "I love your movies. I watch all your TV shows." He thinks I'm it, right? So that's what makes it, really worthwhile.
That's totally great.
I have fun. Yeah.
I got to ask too. Not that I'm interested in, going to look on eBay later tonight. But where does one get fitted for a Batman suit?
It took a while to piece that together. So
you can't just go to Men's Warehouse.
It's probably easier than the Batmobile, though, right?
Yeah, it's a lot easier. Yeah, there's different people, that make different parts, right? So the cowl I got out of California. There was I looked at different capes. Some were were too heavy, or too I thought would be too hot, like in the summertime and stuff. And so I got some samples of different capes. There's a guy in Florida that does costumes for the WWE, and he's the one who built me my cape. It's it's kind of leathery looking, but it's kind of light. So I had him do a cape for me. To be movie accurate, there's a guy that makes boots, right? But he wants like $800 for boots, and I'm not going to spend $800 for a pair of boots. Yeah. So I got on eBay and I found some nice riding boots for like $60.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'll buy the boots, right? So I bought these boots, and no one's ever walked up to me and said, "Are those the right boots?"
Yeah.
They don't care, right?
matter.
Yeah. So I just bought some boots.
The nice thing about
eBay.
Batman, you can be a little flexible with the Batman costume.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're Superman, you're kind of stuck, or Spider-Man.
Or Spider-Man, you're kinda stuck, yeah.
There's not a whole lot you can change up on that costume, right?
No,
you're
right.
in spandex, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, Batman there's some different eras too. I mean, we talked about that as well.
Yeah.
When you were originally scoping stuff out, like you kind of had an option, you said, of being able to build like of course, the George Barris 66 Batmobile.
Yep.
But were there folks making kits for the Michael Keaton era, late 80s Batmobile?
There were, and that was the choice I had at the time, was to either build an 89 or a 66, right? So I decided to do the 66 because that's what I grew up with. And again, I'm driving
a cooler car, by the way.
It is. I love all the
I mean, I think there's something about
You
that.
like the Keaton one?
I like the train look, the retro, like, clown circus train. It just like
It would have been
looks
fun. I'm thinking about doing one.
It would be neat, but
I always like the canopy on that one opened and then kind of slid
slid
forward, and I'm like, all right, that's
I think
cool.
it's ultra rare too. I mean, I would have to say, in the scheme of things, as much as that one's an older car, I feel like there's probably more of those it shows and stuff than there are that bigger one from the '89, right?
There is, yeah. The thing I didn't really like about the '89 was it sat so low, and the roads around here are so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to tear it up.
Well, and you got to climb in the top of it too, right?
For the '89?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard. It's terrible to get into.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. Well, that, and it's an enclosed canopy, so in the summertime you're gonna bake in there. So on my car, I bake a little bit, but at least the it's kind of like a T-top. At least the roof is gone. I can get some air in there.
Well, I think I saw on I don't know, it was on because I was searching Batmobiles. Somebody turned like a 2001 MR2 into the A-Bat or whatever, or not that A-Bat's the plane. But whatever the
Chris Nolan
Christian
one,
the Nolan one,
yeah.
But it has like 180 horsepower, just like nurses around. But you haven't seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Okay,
No,
it looked pretty good, honestly, but still, and they had the motorcycle too.
Okay,
And
that'd be pretty cool.
I think you could just go nuts with this stuff and spend, like you said, the
You
boots.
can,
The boots
yeah.
are $800. Imagine what you're spending on an armored Batmobile.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Well, the 60s series, did they also have a Bat bike?
They did. They had a Bat bike. Bat
cool.
Girl had her own motorcycle.
Okay.
There's a guy in Indiana, I think he is, that's making replicas of those. It's purple. And,
I was going to say, because you could probably get like the fairings and all the panels to kind of make those up too.
Yeah. If you go to the museum in Logansport, Indiana, there's one of the replicas is there. It's very nice.
That's cool.
Get some pictures.
That would
Yeah,
be
that's what it looks like. Yeah,
totally cool.
Yep. Yeah, there's a guy that's making replicas of those. I don't have any use for that, but it's neat.
So the museum, you've been there. You're intimately familiar with.
I helped build that museum.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you were talking a little bit on the pre-show about that. What's kind of the draw for folks to go to those types of museums? Because you mentioned Metropolis, you mentioned some of the other ones that are out there. I mean, there's even like the Christmas Story House has a museum now.
Yep.
But realistically, like if you're a Batman aficionado or just a fan of old TV shows, the Logansport one's worth checking out, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a Batmobile down in the basement, and then there's an exact replica of Wayne Manor in there, which is kind of cool to see. Yeah, it's got the fish on the ceiling and all that stuff. It looks very nice. And then there's a Batmobile in the basement. And what Mark did was he like if you look at the old '60s Bat Cave, right? He's replicated the Bat Cave.
Beautiful.
So the walls. What we did on the walls was we used spray foam insulation, and we sprayed spray foam all over the place to make it look like a cave.
Okay.
So we sprayed the spray foam all over the place, and then painted it gray, and so it looks like a cave down there.
It's got that big computer station.
It does. There's a big computer station down there and everything. Yeah.
Road trip.
So
You want to do a road trip?
I'm all for it. It'd be
yeah,
cool.
and then he's got some actual screen used things that are there that you can see. He's he's only got like one or two, but they were actually used on the screen in the TV show in the '60s.
Okay.
So it's just something fun to do, something to get away.
Yeah.
But,
So you helped put all that together back in the.
I did. I spent a lot of hours there. Yeah.
When did they open 100%?
Just actually a few months or so ago. I think it was probably in the fall. I think is when he finally got through all the red tape to get that place opened up. Yeah.
Check that out online if that's that's something that would interest you. It's one of those things that it'd be a fun little day trip if you're in the Midwest. I would think, and you could probably hit up a whole bunch of others. Indiana's got some cool places to go, museums like
Indiana Beach.
There's Indiana Beach.
Yep.
Was
Go
it a
there.
commercial? There's more than corn in Indiana.
Actually, I saw a YouTube video sponsored by Indiana Tourism Council, and Indiana Beach was on there. I'm like, seriously?
They're still doing it.
They're spending money to get me to come over to Indiana, so
Yeah.
God bless them. Illinois is not spending money to keep me here. So.
When I was helping build the museum, the newspaper stopped by one day and took a picture of me building the museum. That's what that plaque is back there. Mark gave that to me as a gift for all the hours I spent there. And but that's the picture they took of me hanging drywall one day. So, yeah.
Well,
Pretty cool.
Yeah, really. As long as we're talking about different eras of Batman, I know Eric had some questions on
Well,
that, too.
I mean, I said this. I sent an email. Said here's our document. Here's the stuff we're going to talk about. By the way, if I say anything campy or stupid, I'm not making fun.
Oh, no.
I really, really love Batman. I love comics.
Yeah.
So I mean, my question was, if we're talking about Batmans, Keaton, Affleck, Bale, Val Kilmer, Adam West. I think I know where you're going to go with this, but who's the best Batman?
Oh, it's got to be Adam West.
Oh, I knew it. I knew he was going to do that.
I'm just a little partial, a little biased.
I get it.
Now,
But that
what
little
I
kid
did, though, I have to admit, though, what I did was I bought a Keaton Batman outfit instead of the 66. I do like the outfit of the Keaton outfit.
It is,
So
it
it doesn't match the car, but I don't care.
But the Adam West one probably breathes much better. In the
It would breathe a lot better. It definitely would not be as hot. It's
like a gray
that's
wetsuit.
That's the one regret I do have. I should have gone with the 66. Yeah, all that rubber and leather of the 89. Of the Keaton makes it a little hot, especially in the summertime.
Yeah, the little spandex cap you got to wear.
Oh,
it's a lot better than all that rubber.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
And then I think the other thing was, is there ever like a pecking order when you go to a Comic-Con or something like that? So Batman shows up, and then Superman shows up, and then like Aquaman. I mean, you guys all make fun of somebody, or is there any superhero that gets less respect in the Comic-Con circles when you guys all dress up?
No, I've been to a couple, and really nobody else shows up except for me.
Really?
So yeah. The Comic-Con people that they have their characters that I don't recognize, but they don't really do a Batman character.
Well, keep track. Keep a mental note from this point forward. Keep score.
Yeah.
See if Superman feels. I think everybody likes Batman more than Superman. So I always feel like Superman, as much as he's supposedly the best character, I think he has an inferiority complex to Batman.
Does he? Okay.
So I want to know if that happens in real life when you're standing next to a Superman.
All that rubber and leather might be a little intimidating. I don't know.
Well, Eric did put a poll out on our podcast social media, and actually asked if you could ask a superhero a question about their car. Are you going to go with this?
Actually, I don't know. Our fans don't know what superheroes are, is the first thing I'm going to say.
Well, maybe a little bit. Some did, but we actually had 13 comments. I'll edit and curate some of these.
I think Matt Carter had the best one.
Matt Carter did have he actually asked a legit car question. Yeah. Manual or automatic?
Automatic.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to make it easy to drive. So, yeah.
Absolutely. We have another one from Matthew, who's a listener of the show. Why is Wonder Woman's jet invisible, but she isn't?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
When you run into Wonder Woman, you can ask her that question.
I'll have to ask her that. Yeah. That's a good question.
Dave had a good one.
Yeah. Batman is an open-top vehicle really the right choice for fighting crime?
That's another good question. I never thought about that.
I think it's quick access. I mean, he can get in like the Dukes.
That's
get
true.
out, when he needs to real fast.
That's true. With the TV show, he did jump in and out with that.
There was a little
but
bit
the
of
odd
that.
part was he had a working door. So why did he just open the door instead of
faster.
jumping in and out of the car
Faster.
like that? I don't know.
Very good question. And
Just use the door.
Someone, Matt Carter, do you autocross that thing? That's a question for Batman.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
20 feet long with a 120 some wheelbase. Yeah.
I definitely want to Uber that though. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
That I want to do. I want to sign up for an Uber, and have someone call in and say, "Hey, I need to go to Grandma's house," and me pull up with a little blue light in the
blue
window.
thing.
And I want to pick somebody up. That would definitely go viral.
Yeah.
If anybody from Uber marketing is listening,
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll tag Uber. I'm sure they're listening.
Yeah.
My brother, I believe it's my brother, did the Joker really get away when the Batmobile lost its wheel?
Which episode was that?
It's a Christmas song.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Oh, yeah. Jingle bells, yeah. Yeah, and for the record, I don't smell either.
Leave it to your brother for hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Does
Batman really smell? What are you guys smelling me?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
But believe me, there were questions about Grandpa Munster, and then Steve Brown, downtown Steve Brown, had to ask if there's a weed smell in the Mystery Machine. None of that makes any sense because we're talking about Central Illinois Batman. So,
yeah.
Scooby-Doo wasn't a superhero, was he? I didn't think so.
I mean, it's a talking dog.
I mean,
that's a stretch.
It is a stretch.
All right, so I think that's all the questions. What else? I mean, golly. Okay, so before we wrap up, let's talk about the other cars in the garage.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, it's easy to overlook everything because the Batmobile is right behind you. It's the first thing you see when you walk in the shop. Awesome.
It draws a little attention.
But if that wasn't here, this place would still be cool.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah.
Let's talk about the race car, and then I'll toss it to you, Eric. What's the race car that's set up on the lift behind you?
So that's a 74 Charger I've had since high school. And
wow.
I graduated in high school in 1980.
He's always had cool cars. That's basically what I'm finding out.
Yeah. So that's got a 5, I think it's a 542 Hemi in it. And that's about 850 horse. And but that's up on the lift. I got to work on that this winter. I want to get that done.
Nice. Do you actually race? Is it set up for drag racing?
I haven't raced it yet. It's got a head leak. I need to fix the head leak, so that's one of my winter projects. Right now I'm working on refinishing my bathroom, but as soon as that gets done, I want to get that car done. It's got to get done. It's been sitting up there for way too long.
You go to that big, was it Indy? It's got a big swap meet, Mopar swap meet?
Havana's got a racetrack down there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a full tube chassis. RJ Race Cars in Galesburg built it for me.
It is killer.
They did the roll cage and all that stuff. So, yeah.
All right.
But,
And then just below that is,
the Viper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a 1997 Dodge Viper. I bought it used. I couldn't afford it new, so I bought it used in, I think it was 2004.
Gently driven to church on Sundays.
Yeah, exactly.
And then supercharged. Did you supercharge it?
I had a lot of good help. It's like the Batmobile. I had a lot of good help when I needed it.
But is there like a Magnuson kit or did
it's a Vortex supercharger?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we put a supercharger on there, and there's a computer that overrides the factory computer. That's where we did all our tuning there. And it actually was going to make a lot more horsepower than it is right now, but we had to detune it because if you go, my understanding is if you go over 750 horsepower, you're supposed to stud the heads. And I didn't want to take the motor apart, so we detuned it. It's got 730 or 700. I think it's 730 horsepower now.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's got a supercharger on. It's a Vortec. It's an F1 Vortec.
And those were 6-speed cars.
Yes.
All right. So it's a good, again, and not one you would autocross. I mean, you probably could.
Well, there is a guy who autocrosses a silver one.
They do it, yeah. I don't want to do it. If I wreck that car, good luck trying to find a hood. And if you do find a hood, you're going to pay $15,000 just for the hood. And if I wreck that car, I'm going to wreck the bumper, I'm going to wreck the headlight, I'm going to wreck the hood, I'm going to wreck everything.
All of which you don't want to do.
I don't want to do that,
especially because in my mind that's still that's a cool car, but it's now 30 plus. Viper came out in what
1992.
Well, and not to mention the paint. Yeah. So what if you had to do something now? You're trying to match paint from a 30-year-old car, right? It's a nightmare. Yeah. So especially in red.
Yeah. I don't want to do any of that. So
it's good.
I drive it a lot. It's got like 35,000 miles on it, so I drive it as much as I can. I don't want any of this stuff just sitting here.
Well, the worst part is you could be driving through Washington and somebody could run out in front of you and cause more havoc than if you actually went to the cones. Across the course.
Exactly. Or a deer. I hit a deer before in my car. So stuff happens.
All right. So explain to me the elephant in the room. Is the Mayberry squad car.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the cool cars you got, how did that land in your collection?
There was a guy in Galesburg that had it, Bob DeWitt, and Bob one day decided to sell it, and I knew Bob, and I said, "Well, how much do you want for that?" And I bought it from him. It needed some work. The paint was a bit rough. The headliner was falling down. There were some things that the trunk was not restored. I restored the trunk. There's been a bunch of things I've done to it, but so he had it, and I bought it from him. And it's an exact replica of what was in the Mayberry TV show. It's got the right license plate, the whole thing. So there are no cars that were used in the TV show. My understanding is the cars that were used in the TV show got repainted and got put on used car lots and were sold, and no one knows where they're at. So any Mayberry replica cars that are out there, they're all replicas. There are no screen used cars out there. So this is an exact replica. It's pretty darn close to what was in the TV show. I think it's one of the nicer ones that I've seen. It's got a nice tan leather interior, and I've seen some black and white cars that have a blue interior or something weird.
They just painted it, but didn't change the other stuff.
Yeah.
Is it a 64?
It would be a 63.
63 Ford.
It's a Galaxy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I knew there were Fords. I wasn't too sure on the year. What's under the hood on that one?
I think it's a 403, if I recall.
All right, so a little V8. So it's probably a fun cruiser as well.
Yeah. It's got a great security device on it. It's a 3 on the tree. Nobody knows how to drive.
Oh my God, never driven one.
Good luck stealing that one.
That is so cool. That is, and next to that, the other elephant in the room, because I think there's probably a couple.
Yep.
68, 69?
The 69 Pontiac Superior Coach Ambulance.
It is the world's largest. If you didn't think the Batmobile or Ecto 1 was long enough, this thing looks like it's about as long as an aircraft carrier.
It is a monster.
Where did that come from? And was that something that you were also just like, hey, it's an opportunity, and it popped up, or were you looking for like an old ambulance / hearse or something like that?
I started looking for. I love the unusual cars, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
So when I was married, my ex-wife was a nurse, and we thought it'd be fun to have an old ambulance, and so I found it on eBay in Chicago.
Okay.
And I ran up there and picked it up and brought it home. So it needed a lot of work. It needed a lot of work. It sat outside in the weather for a long time. And it was very rough. So I've done a lot of things to get it to this condition. But yeah, so
I love
it was
those
just on eBay.
I love seeing those because it does remind me of like a old episode of Chips or something where you just see like they're those cars that you see in the background in movies or Police Chase or something like that. And those old deals, like Superior actually. The roof line looks big, like they actually stretched. It seems like they widened, stretched, it's a full custom build on those things.
So from the front of the, if you look at the windshield, the very lower front of that windshield, from the front of that windshield all the way forward, that's a '69 Pontiac, Bonneville.
So full size car.
Yeah, it's a Pontiac Bonneville from the front of that windshield all the way forward, and then everything from the windshield all the way back is Superior Coach, custom built to be an ambulance.
Gotcha.
And so they made those ambulances. They made a lot of Cadillacs. They made a few Pontiacs, and they made very few Oldsmobiles. And this one's a Pontiac, and I think they made, from what I can tell, they made 136 of those.
Okay,
and so there's one in Chicago. That's
seriously,
yeah,
that's literally the count. Wow,
136. There's one in Chicago. I think it's in Chicago. There's one somewhere on the internet that I know of that is fully restored, and then there's mine, and then there's another car that's just a bad parts car. So as far as I know, this is only one of two that actually exists that's running.
So the one thing that's cool about that, and to visualize, Daryl has his '55 Cadillac, and I learned the term Dagmars, in chrome on the front bumper of that thing. They come out like torpedoes.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at the light fixtures on the ambulance, and they're like Dagmars themselves. I mean, those plastic cones on the top.
Yeah.
Could you even replace those things?
No, to be honest. All the cars, the especially that one, I'll take it out somewhere, but it's always within eye shot of me.
Yeah.
Because if someone were to walk off with something, I'm in trouble because there's no way you can find
it's one of none
those parts.
Yeah.
Well, they made 136 of those, and how many exist? I can tell you, there's none.
Right.
So
the lights and sirens still work.
I got them all to work. Yeah.
Awesome. That's
got
to be the coolest part about owning an old police car, fire truck, ambulance is to make the
and it is
lights
loud.
Work. Is it?
Oh, that siren is insanely loud. Oh yeah.
Very cool. Well, we won't make you fired up here, but maybe some show or something.
Yeah,
in the summer.
So
fun.
Everything got antique plates on it.
Yes. You know what I found the other day?
What's that?
Was I went to buy plates for the Viper, right? I had taken the engine apart and I put it back together. The supercharger had gone bad, so I sent it out to California to get rebuilt. I got the supercharger back. I put the engine back, put the engine back together, and that took a little while. It took, I don't know, way too long. But anyway, I went to get plates for it to put it on the road.
Yeah.
And the guy I was buying the plates from, he says, do you know that that's an antique now?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what? And so it's like, wait a minute, I can put antique plates on this car? I mean, you're supposed to be limited as far as like where you go. You can't.
Car shows.
It's not a
and stuff
daily
like that.
driver.
Yeah.
You can take it to car shows or take it to get maintenance done on it or whatever. That's all I do anyway. But I was just shocked. It's like this is an antique already.
Yeah, all the cars I love from the '90s are now antiques, so it's awesome. But
that blew me away.
Yeah, my wife drives her antique car to work every day. I don't think a cop's going to pull her over and say,
No, there's nobody keeping records of all that. If I went out for a drive, I mean, who's going to stop me? He's like, you're out for a drive. Pull over. Like, they don't know.
Although. I feel like if you're driving the Batmobile or a supercharged Red Viper,
he's going to a show.
Yeah.
He's always going to a show.
You could always use that. But
now the Batmobile, it's actually licensed as a brand new car.
Is it really?
It is because it's a brand new build that was completed a couple of years ago, and so the state of Illinois is calling it a custom build completed as of I think they're calling it a 2022
really?
or 23 or 24. They're calling it.
So,
and you know what they're calling it? This is the funny part.
What's that?
On their computers, they don't have a category for a 1966 Batmobile, right? So I got my registration in the mail, and it says 1966 Mazda.
What?
It says Mazda. I was like, wait a minute.
You know what that
Not
is?
even close.
Because we get this all the time with our Reynolds and Reynolds software and stuff like that. You put in a VIN number that's like not even the right 17 digits, and then it just auto spits out something and. Yeah, you'll just get the weirdest things on old cars. You got to go in there and overwrite it. Whoever was at the DMV or the Illinois State probably could have put more detail in there.
Well, and what happened with this car, too, is when the custom build was done, the state of Illinois sent out a special cop. I guess I don't remember what he was called.
Oh, a safety check on that?
Yeah, they came out. It said Secretary of State Police, I think it was on the side, and it took.
I always wondered what they did because I've seen those cars. Secretary of State Police. What are they doing? But it's probably like VIN verification and all that stuff.
No, they made one.
They made it. They stamp one out of steel. Or something?
Stamp one out of steel. So they came here. It took a while to get him scheduled, but he came here to the shop. And he came here, and they had a checklist of all the stuff that had to be working. It had to have brakes. It had to have seat belts. It had, there was all kinds of stuff it had to have.
Could it have lap belts, or you have to have 3-point?
No, just had to have seat belts. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the seat belts could be period correct for the car.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but he went through the checklist, and I passed everything. It had turn signals, all that stuff, and then as soon as it passed that. Then he went back to his car and custom made they gave me a special VIN number, and he stamped that VIN plate, and then we chose a spot on the car that we could pop rivet that plate onto the car. And so if you open up the door, there's a big piece of metal that helps operate the opening and closing of the door. We decided to pop rivet that plate right there inside the door.
Okay.
But no, he went back to his car and stamped a special VIN.
Wow.
I never knew how any of that worked.
That's a show in itself.
Yeah.
Was that the first time for you? I mean, you probably hadn't been
Oh
through
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then as soon as that happened, then he went back to his office or whatever, and then that took a while. And then I finally got the approval to get it on the road and got it on the they issued me my plates. And my understanding again is in the way the law is written, and I know I can do that with the Mayberry car. I can run show plates on the car, period correct, whatever. Yeah. But I have to have the state issued plates in the car.
Right.
So when I drive the Mayberry car, my state issued plates are underneath the floor mat in case I get pulled over. I have to show those if I get pulled over. So it's the same thing with the Batmobile. I'm running, license plates from the show, but my state-issued plates are in the car underneath the floor mat, so I get pulled over. I have to show them the plate. But
hopefully there's not a lot of law enforcement officers that want to pull over Barney Fife
right.
in his actual
or Batman.
car.
Yeah,
or Batman.
Yeah.
Well, and you're probably not blazing a trail or doing anything illegal in those things anyway.
No, and people ask me that all the time. It's like, is that a fast car? It's like, no, the Batmobile it's just a cruiser. It's not supposed to be a fast car.
Yeah.
Yeah. What size rims are those? 15s, 14s?
Yeah, I think they're 15s if I recall.
Yeah. They don't. It's funny how the performance tires and rims from back in the day, even for a car that should be like the sportiest, most aggressive car on the road, the Batmobile.
Super tall tires.
By today's standards, that thing would roll all over itself, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, this has been a treat, though. Honestly, this really cool to kind of get to know you a little bit more and introduce you to
this
some
was fun,
folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure our listeners. We've got a lot of listeners of different age demographics, and some are into four-wheel drive stuff, some are into autocross, some are into old cars. This covers everything. It checks
Yeah.
so many boxes.
Yeah.
And, if folks do want to get in touch with you, you kind of got things mapped out for 2025 for like a show season or events, or how can folks follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook at Central Illinois Batman, and yeah, my calendar is starting to get filled up. I do like birthday parties. People hire me to dress up as Batman and go meet some kid that's having. And I don't know how many birthday parties I've done now. I've done quite a few where it's a Batman themed party for some kid.
okay. How cool is that? That's awesome.
Yeah, so I dress up as Batman, and I got little gifts that I give them and whatnot, and but they'll pay me to show up and and greet some kid, which is an absolute blast.
Give him a ride in the car.
I haven't done that, but I do get free cake, which is the best part.
All right, so that's not good for the bat suit, though.
It's not. No, I'm trying to watch my weight. I don't want to be a fat Batman, so I try to limit myself on the cake.
Fat
I imagine it gets harder and harder to get into the suit.
It does, especially as you start getting older, and I live way too close to Dairy Queen, which makes it even harder.
Well, unless is there anything we haven't asked you that you want people to know about you or about what you do or about?
No, I think we about covered it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Again, fastest yes ever. So I appreciate that. And
I didn't regret it either. That was the best part.
Oh, that's good.
Regret doing it that fast. I don't know.
You're letting us in your house. I mean, that's a huge thing right there. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're like, who are these two guys? I mean, and again, I still couldn't believe that you guys had not really crossed paths in a way that you didn't know each other.
Yeah.
I just would have assumed from all. I mean, Daryl is like the king of the old car club of Peoria or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm usually at a lot of shows, but no, I've definitely seen the car, haven't seen the man, so it's good to actually meet you, John. John Bisanz.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
for letting us in, and we will put some links to some articles, some background, and some your social media channels.
Cool.
On with this post at throwingwrenches.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, John.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you guys.